Welcome back to another episode of Prime Impact. I am Dr. Impact.
I am Dragonus Prime, and I am glad to be back.
Yes, me too.
What have you been up to?
Not much. We got through Halloween.
Barely.
Yeah, barely. Got through all of that, and October is one of my favorite times of year, but for me, it doesn't stop there. I know a lot of people have problems with the holidays, but if I could do it, if Mrs. Impact would let me, I would put up Halloween decorations on September 1st. They would come down on like November 5th.
Sure.
Somewhere around there.
Like the next day.
Right. And then Christmas would go up like on November 8th.
Okay, so just
if it
a
was
couple
up
of
to
days
me.
of normal.
If it was up to me. Now,
Okay.
now she's not going to let me do that, and that's
Sure, she's
probably
smart.
wise. Yeah. But I love this time of year. I love fall. I love the autumn. I love getting ready for Thanksgiving. I think because we grew up in a house that always watched the parade. I love the Macy's parade.
Yeah.
It always sucks, but I love it.
Yeah, I do enjoy that. My favorite part of this time of the year is the days off from work.
There is that, because they're fewer and far between this time of year.
Right.
What about you? How you been?
I'm good. I've been playing a lot of video games.
Yeah.
Not reading as much manga as I should have been, but I read enough to get through this episode.
That's all right.
But no, I've been playing. A couple weeks ago, I picked up on 8th of October a game called Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
Why I'm wearing the Super Metroid
Oh,
t-shirt.
okay. All right.
I'm a huge Metroid fan.
Yeah.
And when they announced that game at E3, I pre-ordered it that day.
Oh, okay. So you're that big of a fan. Okay.
I loved it. In fact, I just recently, leading up to it, I played through the other 4 Metroid games. But it was really exciting because Metroid Dread is the first 2D Metroid. Because there was 3D ones, where it's like a first-person shooter. But it was the first classic-style 2D Metroid in 19 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was really exciting, and it's actually the closing part. I haven't quite beaten it yet because work and life, I don't get to play as much as I would like to. But they say it's the finale of the Samus Aran story.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. So you've been playing that a lot.
I've been playing that a lot. I love that game.
Nice.
So, but that, and then just relaxing. Yeah. Getting things ready for the holidays.
Yeah.
Christmas shopping and all that shit.
You just made me think of something that I wanted to address with people out there.
Oh, buying you Christmas gifts. Yeah, please buy us gifts. We would gladly accept them.
Yeah, you. No, I was going to say that, we have said before in past episodes to please recommend manga to us. Things that after you watch episodes and you learn what our tastes are like, hey, I think Dragonus Prime would like that, or I think Dr. Impact would like this. Make suggestions. I will say that just so everyone knows, these episodes are shot somewhat in advance of what you're seeing. So when you're actually watching this episode, we're probably shooting 2 or 3 episodes from
More
now.
than likely, yeah.
So if you made a suggestion at any time on any thing,
it's not that we ignored you.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to it yet. It's just because maybe we hadn't seen it by the time videos were shot.
Right.
So just be patient. We do want to get to any suggestions and things like that.
Yeah.
Same with questions. This first batch of episodes that we've done, we're all kind of shot in a chunk. And up until now, anyway, the first few episodes, obviously came out even before the first one actually dropped. So we're a little bit behind in catching up with questions, but we will get there.
We'll get there, yeah. We're not ignoring you. We love you guys. And, and I'm sure you've already seen this, too, on the past episodes. We've commented and replied to some of your stuff on the comment section. So...
yeah, we will do that. And sometimes, too, if it's something that is really a question that we feel is very pressing, feel free to ask it, even if we don't get to it right away on the show, which we will all the time eventually. That doesn't mean that we won't maybe necessarily answer that same question on the podcast.
That's true, yeah, which is our podcast, the My Big Fat Pull List podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple,
all the places.
all the major podcasts.
Yeah, that was easy for you to say.
I gotta stop
You're
talking.
You're still drinking, aren't you?
I'm not as thick as I drink. I am.
Yep. Yep. And that's the other thing. You can go to Patreon and become a patron and see other videos because we still need that financial support to kick his drinking habit, guys. I mean, it's clearly a problem. It's becoming an issue.
It's only a problem when I realize it's a problem.
Oh, is that right? Okay. But
yeah,
anyway,
also on the Patreon, though, you can see every week we swap mangas.
Mm-hmm.
And we give each other... Like, last week was our Halloween episode. I got Frankenstein, which is what Dr. Impact reviewed. And Dr. Impact got I Am a Hero, which I gave a glowing recommendation for.
But then the opposite review then is seen on our Patreon. That's the only place you can see the other one's review on the Patreon. So, well, yeah. So I guess that's a good enough segue. Let's get into this week. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So here's a big shocker. Completely new and shocking for me. I did a manga for an anime I watched.
Oh, no kidding.
I know.
I think there's been one episode. The Halloween episode is the only one.
Two. Yeah, the first one, Death Note. I watched the anime after I read the manga.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
But this was actually not... This is one I didn't have to buy because Mrs. Prime is also a manga fan, and she owned it.
Oh, okay.
So I got to borrow hers with a litany of... I had to sign away our first unborn child to her. It was a lot of stuff.
Well, and the nice thing, too, I noticed that the last couple weeks we've both done some really thick, really involved, really dense, really heavy stuff. And we both have average-sized mangas this week. So hopefully it won't take up as much of your time on this episode. But if you're enjoying these, then it doesn't matter. So anyway, go on.
So I chose Fullmetal Alchemist. And like I said, I watched. There's two animes. There's Fullmetal Alchemist and there's Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Okay.
I watched Brotherhood.
Okay.
Brotherhood, from what I've been told, is somewhat more closer to the manga.
Okay.
Because when they were working on the first anime, the manga was also coming out, and they got to a point where the manga wasn't coming out as quickly as the anime. So the anime, and this is just from what I understand. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. From what I understand, the manga and the anime kind of deviate from each other.
So it's a Game of Thrones scenario.
Yeah, exactly. I heard it's still good. I just haven't.
Unlike the end of Game of Thrones.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But so I watched Brotherhood. And I thought, I loved Brotherhood. It's got some heavy, even in this manga bit, it's got some heavy subject material. But I will read Fullmetal Alchemist because I wanted to see how close it was. I am really happy I read this. So the beginning of this...
Yeah, I don't know anything about Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah, Fullmetal Alchemist takes place in this world. Once again, like most mangas we've talked about in past episodes, they kind of expect you to understand the world right off the bat. And it's kind of a steampunky world.
Cool.
Yeah. And the main characters are this guy here, Edward Elric, and his brother Alphonse Elric.
Okay.
And Alphonse is this massive, 6 foot, 7 foot guy, this 6 foot, 7 foot suit of armor that talks like a child. It has a child's voice in it.
So kind of an Of Mice and Men, George and Lenny.
Yeah,
kind of
only
thing.
not mentally challenged like Lenny.
Oh, okay.
Normal child. And you find out that throughout the series, I'm kind of jumping ahead of what the actual first story is about, but this kind of gives you an idea of going into it. You find out that alchemists can create, they're like alchemists. They create things from other things. They create these little circles, and they do magic. They slap their hand down, and they can turn rock into gold. They could perform alchemy. And Edward and Alphonse's mother died. And they want to use alchemy. They want to use alchemy to bring their mother back to life. And they...
Because that always goes so well.
Ooh. Like I said, I've seen the anime, and I've seen what happens in the anime, and reading this, it seems like it's going that same route. Things don't go well. There is a thing called the loading screen while I look it up. It has an actual terminology. That's why I want to make sure I say it right.
See, I'm not the only one who can't get the names.
No, I remember the names of all the characters. It's the terminology of the... the equivalents... God, and for the life of me, I can't... And I you're going to kill me in the comments. I know, people. Here it is. There are laws when it comes to alchemy.
Okay.
The big one is the law conversation of mass and the law of natural providence.
Okay.
Basically, what it is you can't create something unless you have an equivalent value. That's the conversation of maths. And the natural providence is don't mess with living things.
Okay.
Well, Alphonse and Elric, they're kids. They're younger, actually, than they are in here when they try to bring their mom back. Let me rephrase it. Edward is younger than he is here. Alphonse is the same age when they try to bring their mother back. And things go wrong. Edward loses his arm in the process. His whole right arm.
Okay.
Alphonse loses his everything. His body, his everything. And Edward's like, oh my God, we effed up. We effed up so bad. I need my brother back. I can't lose my brother. Don't take my brother. Does another little quick circle, slaps his hand on an empty suit of armor, and gives up his leg so his brother's soul gets put into that armor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they talk about in the manga. I know what happens more in the anime just because I've seen the anime and I was, they don't really talk too much about it in the manga, but they talk about that they did reanimate something that day, and it wasn't their mother.
Oh.
Yeah. And boy, is it trippy what they do. But like I said, that's much farther down the line. But yeah, so that's the story of Edward and Alphonse. Alphonse is a soul trapped inside a giant 7-foot suit of armor, which is why he still has a child's voice.
Sure.
And the armor is hollow. There are times people hide inside of it. Mrs. Prime has told me many times that there's little fun backup stories in these where Alphonse is hiding kittens in his armor. Right, they're little fun stories.
Okay.
And Edward wears what's called automail. I think is what they call it. Automail. He's got an automail arm and an automail leg.
Okay.
And it's like Cyborg, steampunk Cyborg. And apparently he's got one of the top-notch ones. But yeah. And Edward is a state alchemist. He is basically a member of the state military at like 14, 15 years old. And he is one of their alchemists who goes out and does, like, they're kind of like, top-ranking military guys that gets kind of, almost like Jedi, they can go on and do their own thing.
Okay.
Only they're not beholden to Jedi rules.
Probably a good thing.
Right. But he's a state alchemist. And him and Alphonse are going out in the world trying to find a Philosopher's Stone. Because apparently a Philosopher's Stone, you don't have to worry about the mass equivalent change thing. You can create more mass from small mass.
Oh.
And they're not trying to get the Philosopher's Stone to bring their mother back. They're like, we know we messed up there. We don't want to mess with that anymore. We want the stone back so we can get Alphonse his body back.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right. They're trying to, and if they can get Edward his arm and leg back,
bonus.
Cool.
But yeah.
But they're trying to get Alphonse his body back.
Okay.
So the first story, and this is kind of episodic for this first volume, which is interesting. But the first story is them. They go to this little like backwater town where there's this religious guy who's doing miracles, and people just absolutely love him, this holiness, and he's doing all these miracles, and he's promised that he's going to bring people back to life and bring back dead loved ones, and he's doing all these things, and they're like, yeah, nah, this is against the rules. You can't bring people back from the dead. And they're like, well, he's not an alchemist. He's using magic from God. They legit say God and everything.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so Edward and Alphonse go to some like big gathering he has where he's got this little bitty rock and he creates a flower, an organic thing. And they're like, and this girl who's telling them, she's like, see, her name's Rose. She's like, see, he can do miracles. He can bring my boyfriend back. And Edward's like, nah, Holmes, he's an alchemist. He's doing alchemy. It's, he's doing more than what he should be doing, but that's alchemy. She's like, no, it's miracles. And he's like, I know alchemy when I see alchemy.
Huh.
And they confront him. And they end up, you find out that he's, not exactly a great guy. He's basically using his alchemy to create these miracles to get these people on his side so he can have an army to take over the country.
Okay, so it is conquest.
Yeah, and that's his ultimate goal. And Edward and Alphonse go in to stop him. And when they go to fight him, he sends out this, what they call chimera. And that's an important term for when we read these later. But he chimera is when you merge two living things together.
Mm-hmm.
And he merged these two, this like lion and I can't remember what the other animal, like a lizard or something. He merged them together. And Edward and Alphonse have to fight a chimera.
Now, is it the same kind of like chimera? Is it spelled the same as like the mythological?
Yeah,
okay,
it is. It's just not always the same chimera mythological.
Sure.
But they call it chimera because it's merging two things.
Yeah.
So they fight the chimera. The chimera bites at Edward's arm, and through the first part of this, you don't know Edward's got an automail. Mm-hmm. Well, those that didn't watch the anime don't know he's
right.
But he bites the arm, and Edward's like, "Haha, that's funny. That tickles." And the tiger cat thing's like, "Why can't I hurt this guy?" And they beat him.
Sure.
He uses his alchemy to take his little cane and turn it into a massive chain gun.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so the bad guys, not Alphonse, the bad guy.
Oh, the bad guy. Oh, okay.
And he's trying to shoot them, and they are able to stop that. And like the bad guy's able to create big things from nothing. We find out his ring has a Philosopher's Stone. He's using Philosopher's Stone to do all this.
Okay.
Right. They go up against him. They stop him. Edward even tricks him by like sitting in his office, and he's like, "You fool! I have all these people tricked, and they're gonna be my army, and it's because of you that I'm gonna kill you, and they're gonna follow me, and I'm gonna tell them that you're the demon." But he had a microphone hidden, and Alphonse grabbed a bell and alchemied a bell into a speaker, and naturally broadcast it across the town. They tricked him, and
cool.
Yeah. And then they end up winning, and he goes to go for the Philosopher's Stone, and the Philosopher's Stone shatters.
Oh.
And Edward's like, that shouldn't shatter. Those things are too powerful to shatter. And the priest guy's like, "Oh no, a fake. They gave me a fake? It's not a real one?" Right. And he's like, "Well, sucks to suck, dude. You're kind of... this isn't a real stone. I've kind of wasted my time here. I'm going to bounce. Good luck with the town." And he kind of leaves the dude.
Okay.
Right. And as he leaves the dude, and this is the first chapter. There's 3 stories in here for the most part. And the first story ends with him leaving town. And the priest guy, walking around going, "Oh God, what have I done? What have I done?" And when he's visited by these 2 creatures that they don't say what they are. And I don't want to say what they are to you because eventually you're going to read these too, and I want you to be surprised like I was. But there's this massive rotund guy who's sitting on the corpse of the chimera eating it that they call Gluttony. And there's this very slender woman named Lust. And he's like, "You gave me a fake." And she's like, "Yeah, we did. What's your point?" He's like, "I need this power. You told me I could take over the world." And she's like, "You think we give that much power to some 2-bit hack like you?" And he comes at her, and she goes like that. Her finger extends and goes right through his brain, and she kills him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Gluttony's like, "Can I eat him? And can I eat him?" And she's like, "No, don't eat him. He's disgusting." And then Gluttony eats him anyway.
Sure.
But yeah, and that's all you see of them in this book.
Okay.
They are, spoiler alert, they're bad guys throughout the entire series.
Sure.
But yeah, so then the next story, Alphonse and Elric go to this small town. And then the next 2 stories are very more episodic. I have a feeling they're going to play more into it down the road. But I was excited to read these because these next 2 stories were not turned into episodes of the anime that I watched. The first story was, but the next 2, at least not to my knowledge. And if I'm wrong that they are in Brotherhood, let me know because then I'll go back and rewatch it. But I don't remember them being in Brotherhood. They might be in the other anime, from what I understand. But anyway, they go to this town. It's kind of a mining town. And this guy who works for the state, he's a military guy who works for the state, owns the town, and he's overtaxing it. And they won't serve Edward because Edward's a state alchemist. But they'll be cool to Alphonse because Alphonse not a state alchemist. And no one knows Alphonse is just a walking suit of armor. They think there's a dude underneath it.
Sure, of course.
But Edward finds out. He goes to the guy. He's like, "Hey, I want to buy your town from you." He's like, he takes a bunch of coal, turns it into gold. He's like, "Here's all this gold. I want to buy this town from you. But I want you to put, so no one knows I gave you gold, all this gold. Because I turned it into gold for you. Right? That you gave me the town for free." And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, wink wink, for free." Because he's thinking he's getting a bunch of free gold that was alchemy. So he gives the town to Edward. Edward then goes and gives the town to the miners. Because the miners have been overtaxed by this guy. And the lieutenant guy in the military, he's like, "Hey, all my gold turned to coal. It turned back to coal. What did you do?" He goes, "I want my contract back." And Edward's like, "No, I paid for this for nothing. See, it's written right here on the contract. And he goes, oh, and by the way, I'll make sure to, say a good word about all your scheming when I get back to town. Because he wanted him to, talk him up. So it was just a fun little, almost pseudo-samurai, Seven Samurai, Magus, etc. type of thing. Yeah. And, he saves the town, and they give him a night to stay there.
Okay.
And then the next issue is they're on a train. I think they're headed back. I don't know if they quite say, but they're headed somewhere. They might be headed back to the capital. And the train gets hijacked. So Edward and Alphonse basically fight the hijackers, and they save the train through their alchemy special powered means. The cool thing about that last story, though, is you get introduced to another character named Roy Mustang, who's also a state alchemist, and he is known as the Flame Alchemist because he does alchemy with fire.
Okay.
And he'll snap and create fire and all that stuff. But he's introduced in that book, and he's a big character in the anime and the manga down the line. So it was kind of cool to see him and his assistant show up. But yeah, it was just very much a fun little story of him saving the train and fighting the bad guys who are trying to kidnap a general that's on the train who's on vacation.
So is there a hook then, like there is a normal
not
to
really.
hook you into the next volume, or
the hook for the most part is just Roy Mustang going, I'm the Flame Alchemist.
Oh, okay.
So it's not really a big normal hook like you would say, but I enjoyed this so much that I enjoyed the anime so much that I'm going to keep reading it. But this was a lot of fun just in and of itself because I read 2 stories I've never seen with Edward.
Sure.
already.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun too with Edward is Edward's got short man syndrome.
Oh, okay.
So anytime
that could be fun.
Yeah, anytime anyone calls him short or runt or boy or whatever, he gets pissed off.
How's the art?
Art's great. I love the art. It's very much your standard anime style art.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, there's the Chimera.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah.
He creates there's him creating a spear.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all it's very good art.
Okay.
The story's a lot of fun. It reads fast. Overall I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to keep reading it. And,
okay.
I really liked it.
Okay. All right. Well, I will get to my opinion about my choice after I give you the breakdown. But what I read for this week was a book that I've been very curious about.
Okay.
That I see a lot of people picking up. I believe it just ended. I think the last volume just came out. Called The Promised Neverland.
Now, is this like Peter Pan Neverland?
Well, somebody had explained it to me that it was kind of Harry Potter-ish with kind of this fantasy angle.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting. After reading it, no, it definitely is more of like very, very little bit of Harry Potter maybe, but very much more Peter Pan-ish, but not. So basically, the story here is there is this orphanage. There is this home run by a woman. It's called Grace Field.
Okay.
And Grace Field House. And is run by a woman only known as Mom.
Okay.
And the whole thing is kind of narrated by this girl, Emma. Now, there are 30 some odd kids here, all ranging from the age of 1 to 11. There's nobody older than 11.
Okay.
And generally speaking, kids kind of get adopted and go to their forever home somewhere between ages 6 and 8.
Okay.
So our 3 main characters, Emma and her 2 friends, Norman and Ray.
Easy names for you to remember.
Easy names for me to remember. I didn't have to look them up. Norman and Ray and Emma are all 11. And they
haven't been adopted yet.
They're the oldest ones there.
Sure.
They're the only ones over the age of like 8 or so.
Gotcha. Top of the totem pole.
Basically. And when I started reading it, I thought, okay, I mean, this seems kind of cutesy and fine, but like Emma's narrating the story and she's talking about what life is like with her brothers and sisters, and she doesn't, she considers them all of her family, and Mom is her mom, even though it's not biological, and
sure.
And life is great, and it goes through their daily routine, and I was just like, okay, I mean, this is interesting. I'm not disliking it,
Yeah.
but I don't see what everybody's going crazy over. And then I started to notice, wait, are there things on their necks? And there are. Each one of them has like a 5-digit code number tattooed on the neck. And it's not small. I mean, these are like big across their necks. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that's going to play in somehow. And then this young kid, and I think the name was Coney. It's either Connie or Coney. It's time to get adopted.
Oh.
And so she's leaving. So you have to go out to the gate. Now, they've been told to stay away from the gates.
Ooh.
Not supposed to go near the gates, and not supposed to go into the forest.
Oh.
It's dangerous. And stay away from the gate. So, they learn at school. They go through all these classes. They know about the world outside. They know about things that we live in, that we have in our world. But they're not allowed to see anything of it because they can't leave the grounds of the orphanage. I also discovered about halfway through that the book takes place in the year 2045.
Oh, okay. So a little bit in the future.
A little bit in the future.
Okay.
Even though, anachronistically speaking, their world looks very much like that from maybe turn of the 20th century. And I'm talking 19th into the 20th
So we're
century.
talking like when probably Peter Pan was written.
Probably, yeah. It feels very much like that at the time. I mean, a little bit of electricity for lights and things, but for the most part, it's all still pretty much like that. And so the other thing that they have to go through is they go through their tests. Now, Emma and Norman and Ray always score the highest marks. Almost perfect marks every time. The others don't as much. So Coney gets taken, and she just goes through this big spiel about how when she was brought in and Mom, took care of her, gave her this bunny plush, and that was like the greatest thing ever, and she leaves and Emma notices, oh, she left without the bunny. So her and Norman
Try to go give it a bunny.
sneak out and go. But that means going to the gate.
Yeah.
So they go to the gate, and they get there, and there's a truck. And they're like, oh my God, it's a truck. We've never actually seen one before.
Huh? Yeah.
We've only read about them. So there's this truck, and they're looking around. They're like, "Where's Mom? Where's Coney? I thought she wouldn't be gone by now." And Emma opens the back of the truck, and the dead body of Coney is laying back there.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, what? Suddenly, this sweet little story
Got dark.
got dark like within a page.
Wow.
And she's like freaking out, and then these two things come out of the darkness.
Things?
Yes. Gigantic, monstrous looking, I can't even describe them. Long, pointy fingers, lots of eyes, bones. I mean, these things are gnarly looking. And they come out of the shadows. And so, of course, Norman and Emma hide. And they start listening. And these two, they call them demons.
Sure.
These two demons are talking about how it's a good thing she brought us another one. I was getting hungry. I want to eat it.
I saw that coming.
And the other one says, you can't have that. That's not for us. Basically, as they're sitting there hiding, what they learn is that the orphanage is...
Oh, no.
Yeah, they're a farm. They're a farm for whatever these demons are.
Wow, that's a heck of a lot darker than what you would think.
Right? So they go back, and now they're like, well, we have to escape. We have to get out. We have to leave. And Emma's like, well, we're taking everybody. We're getting all of us out. And they're trying to figure it out. So they're like, okay, we can't go through the gate. We can't do this. They're trying to figure out how to get out. And they're like, well, let's go through the forest. So like, all right, let's do some recon. So they go through the forest. They get through the forest, and just beyond the forest is a giant 3-meter thick wall that they can't get over.
Whoa.
If they had a rope or something, they could climb over.
Yeah.
But they can't just get over. So they're like, okay. So that's obviously the only way out. When they get back to the orphanage, they find Mom has a pocket watch out that she's been using all the time. Well, come to discover, Mom can track them with this pocket watch.
Sure.
Now, the pocket watch does not tell her who is who.
Okay.
The trackers are not that specific.
Just tells you someone went here.
Right. Which means that Mom now knows that there are 2 at the orphanage who know the secret.
It's not hard to narrow that down, probably.
Well, then they tell Ray. So now Ray's in on it. And Ray and Norman are both super smart. And Ray is kind of, you know, this smart-ass, sarcastic, snotty...
Like, Guy Gardner.
I set him up for that one. But in actuality, he's not like Guy Gardner. But in actuality, he's probably like a little bit more of an emo version of Loki.
Okay.
More than anything else. But so Ray ends up joining them. They try to figure it out, and they realize that they've got to figure out where the trackers are. And then they discover, you know, ways to take tablecloths, tie them together. They're going to get the kids out. And then it seems like Mom is catching on more and more. Well, then the next thing you know, another baby is brought in. Way earlier than should be. And at the same time, a new adult is brought in.
Interesting.
And her name, again, here we go with the names. I can't remember them. It's Sister something, though. I remember that much. I remember.
He's an actor that memorizes lines.
Well, talk to anybody I've worked with. I don't memorize well. Sister Crone is her name.
Ooh, that sounds...
Sister Crone. And what it hints at is that Sister Crone was maybe an orphan at one time.
Oh.
Not necessarily here, because they discover, well, they assume, and then the reader is let to know. Emma and the kids still don't know this, but
Sure.
we are told that the kid's assumption is correct. There are many farms and orphanages.
Kind of like a red market.
Right. What the kids also begin to learn is that the most recent book that they have in their library was printed in 2015. So they don't know how different, because everything that they're taught is the world that we knew in 2015, but is now 30 years gone. Right.
Wow.
So they don't know how much of our world is still intact, what the demons are, how they're being tracked, are they implants, what are they?
That sounds fascinating.
Yes, so this whole first volume is basically them trying to figure out what the scenario is.
Okay.
What is the situation? What they discover at the end is that the tracking is given to them when they're brought to the orphanage.
Sure.
And they're told that they have to give blood.
Like when you tag a dog.
Sort of, right, yeah. They're told that they have to give blood, they have to run a blood test. Well, that's when they get tracked, and it's behind the ear.
Sure.
And the fresher the tag, the easier it is to feel it.
Oh, makes sense.
So, so the baby is there. That's how Emma discovers where the tag is, how they can get it.
That makes sense, yeah.
So that was kind of like, I thought, oh, well, that's going to be kind of our hook then.
Yeah.
You know, and you meet all the other kids, and all the other kids are really fun, and it's a really fascinating mystery, but that's not the hook. The hook is the next page after the discovery of the tag. You go back to Mom. Now, at this point, we've learned that Sister Crone has decided that Mom knows someone found out, even though she doesn't know who it is. She knows somebody found out, and she's going to turn her in because she wants to take over and be the mom.
Sure.
It's basically climbing the ladder.
That makes sense, yeah.
Meanwhile...
Very Terran Empire in the Star Trek universe. That nerd.
So, meanwhile, Norman and Ray, while talking with Emma, they have kind of pieced together that the tests and everything, it's about education and building the brain.
Interesting.
The brain is what they really feed on, these demons. So they say that the brain is formed at 6 years old, and that it is fully enriched at 12. So that's why it's between those ages.
Okay.
They also keep talking about how the two demons, were talking about how, I hope Mom is ready to bring us the the 3 high scores, because they're probably about primed and ready for the big feast.
Primed.
Because there's some big feast for some big high mucky muck demon lord guy.
Do they put the apple in the kid's mouth for the feast?
Yeah, right. And these, obviously, Emma, Norman, and Ray are the subjects. Well, the last 2 or 3 pages, the hook, we go back to Mom. She's on a headset, and she's talking to someone, and we don't know who. It never shows.
Sure.
But she refers to her as Grandma.
Oh!
And Grandma says, yes, they have to be ready. And I want to get, she says, can these 3 be shipped out as scheduled? And then it cuts to this gigantic, like, banquet table that looks like it's out of a Guillermo del Toro version of hell.
So kind of like the skinny man's table from...
from Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah. And actually, that's the best way to describe the demons in this.
Oh.
They're like Guillermo del Toro monsters. Sort of, only not with eyes and hands. But yeah, sort of. And basically, they're saying that that it's time for the harvest, and these 3 are for some creature whose name can't even be translated.
Wow!
And it's not like, for all of our viewers out there, it's not like the name is in Japanese and can't be translated to English. It can't be translated into Japanese or English.
Yeah.
It's in like some weird hieroglyphic font.
In fact, we'll put the picture up.
Yeah, we'll put up right here.
How
this is like, that's the name of this high lord who's gonna.
Is it a K? Or...
Yeah, right. I don't know. So anyway, that's the hook.
Interesting. Now,
so
are there multiple volumes?
Yeah, there's like 20 something.
Oh, okay. So there's a good chunk.
Yeah, and like I said, it just ended.
Final volume. Ended. Okay.
Final volume just came out. At least here in the States. The art, it's pretty standard manga style art.
Yeah,
you know,
I could see that.
Nothing bad, but nothing.
The monsters look cool.
The monsters are cool. Nothing to like shout about
Sure.
and be like, oh my god, not like some of the art in some of our past episodes.
Kind of like
that we talked
the one
about.
I had at I Am a Hero. The art was really cool because it had a very realistic look.
Yeah, it's not different like that.
Right.
It's just your standard manga art, and it's good. I guess I forgot to mention that it is written by Kayu Shirai. Sorry. And art by Pozuka Demizu.
Okay. That reminds me, I forgot to mention on Fullmetal Alchemist.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Story and art by Hiromi Arakawa.
Oh, so he did both.
Yes.
He or she, yeah. These are 2 different people doing it. And the art is very good. I like it. It's very, it's easy to follow, and it's easy to understand, and it's very clear what's going on.
Okay,
which
that's
can
good.
sometimes get muddled.
Yes.
In these. The story. Here's my review of the book overall. And again, this is what, episode 5, 6, something like that. So I have not read many.
Is this our first negative?
Hands down, my absolute favorite manga so
Really?
far.
Okay. Oh.
Without question.
Okay, I'm excited to read that one.
Without question.
Okay.
To the point that we will likely, if I have the time, I will be picking volume 2 for an episode very, very soon.
Oh.
Because I loved it. I don't know why. It's just fascinating, and the mystery is interesting, and the characters are good.
Yeah.
And while the art is nothing groundbreaking, it's so clear that I can follow it so easily. It is wonderful.
Okay, well, I look forward to reading that.
Absolutely wonderful.
I look forward to reading that during our swap.
So, here you are.
Yes, Fullmetal Alchemist.
And Promised Neverland.
Yes. This sounds interesting. I look forward to checking this out.
And I am very interested in this because I've heard about, this for years.
It's fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Again, guys, as a reminder, when we do our swaps,
Right.
our swap reviews are only available on the My Big Fat Pull List Patreon.
Yep.
Which you can find at patreon.com/My Big Fat Pull List Podcast, or as Pistol Danger would say, www.patreon.com/My Big Fat Pull List Podcast. So,
and you can also check out all of our audio podcasts. Like I said, at Spotify, Android, all the other places where you listen to podcasts, we're all on there. As well as we have a lot of videos on this channel here.
Yep.
Check out, we've got at least four and a half, because we got the intro video of Prime Impact. If you haven't watched those, check those out. Those are really good episodes. Some of my favorite YouTube content.
Yeah, right.
We also got a couple of really good series, Discoveries and Revisits, Mr. X's Trek through the DC Universe.
Yep. All kinds of stuff. Lots of new shows coming.
Yeah, we're continuing to add stuff. So.
Yep. And again, don't forget, we're on social media. You can find both of us, Dragonus Prime, Dr. Impact. We'll have all those links down below, as usual. And yeah, so I guess that's about it, Prime. I guess, once again, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you guys next week.
Arigato.
Well, folks, that's our show. We hope you liked it. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the My Big Fat Pull List YouTube channel so you don't miss another episode of one of our shows.
And don't forget, we have a podcast. Make sure you head on over and search out My Big Fat Pull List Podcast on any one of your podcast listening platforms.
And help us keep the lights on by heading on over to www.patreon.com/My Big Fat Pull List. And you'll know that you can get any one of these amazing shirts right there.
Also, hit us up on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.